Welcome back to Switch to Linux. Well, today I want to talk about my Windows 11 predictions. As we may have heard, and I covered on the news this week, which I believe the edited version of the business news will be out tomorrow when this video is released. But in that, what we are seeing is that the Windows 10, which was supposed to be the last version of Windows ever, indeed, they are ending support in 2025. Of course, anybody on Windows 7 or 8 at that time can upgrade for free, they're saying. And there even has been some leaks as to what this looks like, and some people have looked at the developer release. Now, the question is that the Windows 11 developer release, or is that the next version of Windows development release? And there is a distinction there. So, of course, when you are in the developers program, they fired their entire QA team, of course, which is why Windows sucks so bad these days. And then they basically made all of the volunteer people the beta users. And then if they didn't have enough responses, screw it. Just let everybody else go ahead and do the same stuff anyway. So, that's really what happened. So, of course, the latest Windows 11 news is kind of conflicted in that we have some theming, which is likely going to be the next Windows 10 release, but they're also having the discussion about Windows 11 now, which at the end of this week that you are seeing this, Microsoft is going to allegedly have an event highlighting the new version of Windows. And so with that, I want to have a few predictions. But before we get into predictions, we have to understand, what is this Windows 11 going to be? Well, the fact is, Windows 11 is basically, best we can tell, a rehash of what was going to be Windows 10X. They were working on this Windows 10X, which was supposed to be a Chrome OS type, alternative, a Windows Chrome OS, as it were. I mean, what are we, insane? But I guess we are. Why not? So they had this, and then they have decided that they're going to cancel this. And then the theming for Windows 11 leaks out. That is stuff that is in the news that I had mentioned. And now what we're starting to see is all of the stuff that was Windows 10X now seems to be part of this Windows 11. So let's go ahead and look at this article from Windows Central as to what Windows 10X was supposed to be. We already said it was talked about as a Chrome OS alternative. Now, the desktop theming, the GUI theming is called Sun Valley. This is where some people have said, well, here's my developer's edition of Windows 11. I think that's incorrect. I think that's just new theming coming to Windows 10. But again, I don't do this for day to day. I'm just kind of speaking off the cuff as a Linux guy looking into the Windows world, making some predictions, but we'll kind of see what happens when the next release of Windows 10 comes out, and then when this developers conference happens on June 24th. But first, they had a new user experience. So it was an entire new frame. It wasn't this patchwork that we have now that started back in Windows NT and Windows 95, patching everything together, which still exists as a Frankenstein beast in Windows 10 today, just why we have some inconsistent design elements. I don't particularly mind that, but it's the same argument we have in the Linux world here as to Xorg. It's just become this giant mammoth patchwork of insanity, this Frankencode, and this is what Wayland is going to do away with this and work towards something better. Well, that's exactly what Windows 10X was going to be. Let's get rid of all the Frankencode, and at the very shell, very bottom, complete redesign from the bottom up, going to build this new experience, which was going to be based around Windows, kind of the philosophy of Chrome OS, which if you know anything about the philosophy of Chrome OS, it's all online. That's something that we're going to keep in mind as we make our predictions. They do have this new start menu. This is already out in those developer previews. You may have seen some. If you have not seen any of these and you do, I would recommend Tech Hut's video. Tech Hut did an excellent review of what this GUI theming looks like, installed it on his main machine. So you can go ahead and have a look over there. You can see that we have here this this taskbar. It's almost kind of resembling like the deepen view. Really, did they steal from the Chinese now? Oh Lord. Oh Lord, Windows, Windows. In the newer version, they're saying you can actually move it back over where it usually is as well. Again, same options you have in Deepen. Put it in the center, the fashion mode. No, I think that's the, I don't know. One of them is the fashion mode, one of them is the efficient mode. I don't know. But anyway, they have that. They have this new taskbar that they're talking about. Basically, it's the same thing as they had. It's just in the middle and instead of on the end. I'm not exactly sure what's new about it. The biggest thing is that they're getting rid of all of the patchwork stuff. The control panel is no longer there. So good luck to you if you're still reliant on the control panel to figure out how to do stuff. They have a new action center. This one, it looks like Deepen again. A combination of like maybe some Mac as well. In Tech Cut's video of the next developer edition, it kind of slides out, looks very much like the Mac notification and such window. We have a new setup experience. This is all new. And they mentioned here in the article signing in with a Microsoft account, agreeing to the terms and conditions, etc. However, the offline option should still be there, we would hope. They say Cortana is no longer present in the startup process at all. They have a whole new file explorer, and this is key, based around OneDrive. That was the one thing that pissed me off the most about Windows 8.1. Why are you embedding this Microsoft Cloud Drive into my system when I will under no circumstance use this nonsense? But that's what in Windows 10X, the file manager was redesigned entirely based around OneDrive. They have improved Windows Update. This is a good thing. It installs all of the updates in the background silently. And when it does the update, which it may force itself to update, but when it does its update, then it will update in less than 90 seconds, they say. So that's a really good thing. And the secure by default is also a really good thing. What they're doing is instead of dumping everything onto one partition, they're doing what many people have done over the years, put Windows on one partition and your data drive on the other. Well, they're isolating all this by default, and they're making that Windows only partition read-only. Now that is significant because if I want to change the host file, how cute. No, you cannot control your own network anymore. Your machine belongs to me. Now maybe we can get in there and do some changes. It's just not going to be as easy to do, but again, we'll see what happens. And of course, coming never, but secure by default, basically all of the system stuff is on one separate partition in a read-only mode, and all of the data stuff and the user stuff is going to be elsewhere. So that is kind of what they were looking at with Windows 10X, which is no longer. They announced the end of Windows 10X, and now they are talking about instead utilizing this Windows 11, which they have been teasing for a few weeks now. They will be doing the conference June 24th. So, and a lot of what my predictions are going to be here may not be on the conference, because these are the price tag that's not yet shown. These are the things that we don't yet know, but they very well may come to light. We'll see. So with that, what are my overall predictions? Number one, something that Windows has tried to do with the Windows 10S at some point in time, they've tried to produce a locked down mode. Now, I think that by default, we might see a Windows 10 that wants to become more of a walled garden. It wants to make sure that everything you install on the system is from the Windows Store, because same thing Apple's saying, it's more secure. Yeah, most insecure operating system in the world. Make it more secure. Whatever. But I think that by default, Windows 11 is going to come out, if not in the very first iteration, very soon thereafter, it will come out. And all of the software that you're going to be able to easily install is going to be on the store. Why do I say this? Well, one factor is, remember that whole new shell? Well, the old existing 9X shell, which is what it's all based on, is what allows us to install the exe files and all of the other things that we have done within Windows. So changing to an entire new system may very well cripple all of the old executables we have. Now, Maybe that's going to be true. Maybe that's not. Again, these are my random predictions, just seeing where the tech world wants to go. We'll see, am I completely right or am I completely wrong later. But the first thing I think we're going to see is it's going to be more locked down. Maybe you can install these via emulation, kind of like when Windows 3.1 moved up to Windows 95, DOS went from the core thing it was running on to an emulation. That is something we may see. Emulation could bring with it more security running old exe files, or they might say, no, we want to do everything in the store anyway, because that's where Apple makes all their money, the stuff from the store. Google makes a lot of money, the stuff in the store. This is a good way to have an ad revenue. And if you can prevent people from installing third-party applications on your system, you have a permanent gateway to everything else that they want to install on their system. So that is a prediction. Number 2 prediction, it's going to be probably more invasive than Windows 10 is, because they've done the invasive, they pulled back a little bit, they've added some more in, they've pulled back a little bit more. I think when they jump in, they're going to push in a whole lot more, and we're going to see Windows 11 being far more invasive. After all, if Windows 11 is based on the Windows 10X, which some of these things suggested that it is, if that is indeed the case, then that's going to be based on OneDrive. So it's all going to be based on syncing itself to Microsoft regardless. So your system will no longer be your system. So that's my second prediction, is that we're going to see everything in the system wanting by default to sync itself with Microsoft. Number 3, I think that we may see, if not the complete removal of the online account, at least the great crippling of the offline account. We are starting to see this in some places. Look at the Facebook debacle. If you agree to the terms and conditions and merging your WhatsApp, your Instagram, your Oculus data all with Facebook, hey, good on you, little boy. You will continue to use the services and we will continue to abuse you and you'll like it because cool stuff. But if you do not agree to the terms of conditions of merging these account data, okay, little boy, and then we're going to start beating you with a stick, and you're going to lose more and more and more and more functionality. This is what Facebook is working towards, and it looks very much like this is what Microsoft would probably want to do as well. So in a dystopian world where we're starting to see all of the big people in charge taking their guidebooks from the worst part of dystopia, it would not surprise me to start seeing the offline account on Windows being highly crippled in some ways. Now, obviously, some of that goes without saying, because if you're not doing some offline stuff, then, or if all your accounts is offline stuff, you will have a harder time syncing to Teams and all these other features, things I don't really want my system to do anyway. Next prediction, we're going to see a lot more ads in a lot more places. This has become the thing that Windows keeps on pushing in more and more ads. In fact, I did a video last week reviewing the Optiplex Micro PC. When I got that in, it came with Windows 10 Pro, and I booted it up with Windows just to go ahead and test everything in the system in case anything on the computer is broken. I wanted to send it back in the same form they sent it to me before I wiped it out and put Linux on it. In that time of playing around with that Windows 10 Pro in a 1-hour span, I had received no less than 5 pop-ups, ads and notifications and crap. And I had a lot of that stuff disabled at the first startup. They are going to push more ads in more places. They will possibly start pushing ads in your lock screen. They may start putting ads on all of the different stuff that you can only get from the store anyway. And that's how the creators are going to get into the ad store, the app store there, the Windows store without paying, but then they're going to have to provide a kickback of the ad revenue back to Microsoft, producing for them another revenue stream coming in. So that is the type of thing that we are going to start to see. Let me see if I had any other predictions written down. I didn't do. I wrote down here, mostly it could be a UI change, but I'm not sure I agree with that anymore after reading into a lot more on this. So there is my overall basis. Number 1, it's going to primarily try and be online. Number 2, see if I can remember all these off the top. I don't have a concise notes here. Number 2, it's going to be more spyware invasive. Number 3, it's going to be more locked down. And number 4, it will become more crippled if you want to use it in an offline fashion. So these are the predictions that I have. It is not going to be a good system. I'm going to call it now. Now, with that what could Microsoft do? What would pleasantly surprise me? If we pleasantly were surprised by look back and say, guys, you know what? We're going to rehire our QA team and we're going to stop spying on everybody and we're going to kick out the telemetry because it's just capturing anything and everything in a dragnet and we can't get any useful data off of it. That would be a good thing. I don't know. I might actually keep a Windows computer around if they were to do that. Chances of doing that, pretty close to zero. But nevertheless, it is still something that there is a chance they could do. If they keep it open to be able to run the old executables that we have so we can continue to run the software we've been running for years, that would be cool. But they are losing a lot of money doing that. And so it makes sense that they would not. So if they were to open the system up, if they were to not cripple it on an offline mode, if they were to not have telemetry, it would be a good thing. But I just don't see this world going in that direction. Am I a negative nanny? No, I'm just a realist. I see what these guys are doing, and everywhere across the board, everyone in power seems to be pulling in their playbook from the dystopian futures. We got everything from 1984 to V for Vendetta doing the backbone core of how our government is functioning. And that's a terrifying thing. And I think that that's what we're going to see with Windows 11 as well. So let me know your thoughts. Am I right on my Windows 11 predictions? Am I completely wrong? Let me know your predictions that I missed in the comments down below, and let's see if I'm right. I think it's June 24th. We'll see if I'm right. With that, guys, thanks for watching. I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux. Thank you for watching this video from Switched to Linux. This channel would not be possible without the backing of the program supporters scrolling on the screen now. You can be a supporter at Patreon at patreon.com/TOMM. or at thinklifemedia.com. I also want to thank the open source community who creates such excellent software that makes producing this show possible. Please remember to support your software communities. Thank you, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.